Hey guys, Roth from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with my ongoing Italy's Holocaust, the years before and the years after. And this marks perhaps the first time that I've sort of stepped out beyond 1994 into relatively new, a 2018 film, of course, as you see up there, and I've already seen in the title, looking at Luca Guadagnino's Suspiria remake. Okay. Wow. Here's the Blu-ray, by the way. This, okay, I think the first time I watched this, which was only one time, I'm not even sure what motivated me to watch it other than just the need to, let's just do it, get it over with, move on. I really had no high expectations, I really didn't even want to. And I think perhaps when I came out the other side of watching it, I think I'm probably Amazon Prime or something, I decided, I wasn't sure what to think. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready to really take in, engage. There's been a lot of talk recently, mostly amongst us few here at BodyBags and whatnot, but Jason is our Tuesday reviewer, Horrific Nightmares, has been feeling a lot of angst, go ahead and use that word again, of late, as to, I just saw the other day, apparently via Bloody Disgusting, David Gordon Green's vision of The Exorcist and whatever he was planning on after Exorcist, Believer, the next film being Deceiver, I think. There's a lot of things going into it, but it just was not accepted by the horror film community as well as it should have been. The box office returns, whatever. He officially, I guess, just as of the other day, now I'm doing this today, and this is uploading today, so just as of the other day, I guess, according to Bloody Disgusting, he has officially removed himself. He is no longer part of the project, and it has been, Deceiver has been officially pulled from the official release date. Who knows where it is now? A vision among many growing visions that are incompleted visions. I think Ridley Scott's Alien prequel trilogy, we may never see what that really should have been, and we'll never see how it ends. Rob Zombie's incomplete vision of his world that he created, Halloween. Luca's vision of Suspiria and where this could have gone afterwards, and with great hopes of maybe Inferno, Mother of Tears. Now, I've been reading a little bit about what he might have done, and it really apparently wasn't going to walk those lines. It was going to go back and delve more deeply into the Marcos character. But as a result of this absolutely bombing at the box office, I really, at the time I first watched it, I really didn't have much to think or say on it. I didn't think much of the film at the time. And then I got into Italy's Holocaust. 30-some reviews in between 79 and 94. Now I'm venturing out and looking forward. I had added this to my collection. Not sure why, other than maybe that I might, it might come out for a review. And so here we are. And so the other day, I came down into the movie room, as I do, and I turned the lights off, and I popped this in. It was just me in a pitch black room, and Luca Guadagnino's Suspiria remake. I was freaking blown away. I don't know what happened in the first time. I don't what happened now. Maybe I was better prepared. In light of all of our conversations of late about incomplete visions and just this growing sense that cinema in general is it's like, it's one of the things that really aggravates me is, you get used to a certain thing, say at Sam's Club or whatever, you buy it for months on end, and then also one day they just don't have it anymore, and you have got to change your habits, your eating habits or whatever. And, and so here we are in cinema, and, beware latching onto anyone or getting excited about anyone. And I know there was quite a few in his corner, not enough, unfortunately, when this made its debut theatrically. It was a block or block office box office. Holy smokes, I can't talk. Disaster. And so as of now, at the moment, this vision is not going anywhere. And for the first time, I'm devastated that this is not, that Luca is not going to be moving forward. This is a worthy, as far as I'm concerned, this is a worthy addition from Italy. This is a non-horror film director, but who, if you watch his interviews, you learn that as a kid, 14 years old, he saw Argento's Suspiria and even envisioned at that, as a young child, that he would someday not just be a filmmaker, but remake Suspiria. And, you've heard these stories. Sam Raimi's got him, Jackson's got him, and they followed through and done it. He did it. He got to do it. And if this is all we ever have, this is quite a remarkable film. As a remake, it is suddenly just got, catapulted into my upper echelon of great remakes. And here's why. This film, and I'm just going to speak spoilers, however it comes out. It's like, if Suspiria, Argento's film, is the head side of a coin, this is the tail side of the coin. It is literally the opposite side of the same coin, but a much darker side than even Dario's. Dario's being much more filled with color and just a wild, fantastical tale that is just driven by probably the greatest horror film soundtrack by Goblin ever put to film for any horror film. This movie is a movie that is its other side. It is where Suspiria, made in 1977, longed to escape that world as sort of an adult fairy tale and carry us away from the moment that film was created in. You're escaping that moment, where Luca says, no, it's time to deal with that moment. And so he carries us back to 1977, a divided Berlin between East and West as a result of the end of World War II, the Soviets, communists having one side and the Allies having divvied up the other side. A divided Berlin, a divided Germany. And, and so everything is sort of inverted in a weird sort of incredible way. Instead of wandering in and feeling our way out, like Argento's film, we are given things right up front, and then we're asked to take a journey with several of the main characters. Susie Bannion, of course, we know as Mother Suspiria. Gosh darn it, Suspirium. Yeah, mother of sighs. There are three mothers, right? Mother of darkness, mother of tears. Tenebram, lacrimarum, darkness, tears, and sighs. I'm sorry, I just can't talk. I don't know. I've just got so much in my head. This is better suited to just talk my way through a podcast on this thing or something. Much of the same characters are given to us, but the situation is much more different. It's much more, it's almost kind of like the the black inside, the black and white side of Suspiria. Um, it is when we go with Sarah as she descends down into the lower bowels of this dance academy, into the deepest layers of where this Marcos is, the coven, witches do their thing. It is quite the terrifying. There are some things in this movie that are really terrifying, and some of which is you kind of thinking back on it. If you're not terrified in the moment, you become terrified in just the thoughts that accompany some time after thinking about. So we travel with Susie from America, who's always felt destined, fated to show up at this dance academy in Berlin. She's not expected. She just sort of washes up on their shore and takes everyone by storm. Now, we know pretty soon off that it doesn't take long to figure out that Susie Bannion is the mother of sighs. That is the great inverted spin on this story. Klemper, who I absolutely love, Tilda Swinton plays three freaking people, and her character as Professor Klemper, the psychotherapist, psychologist, who is treating Patricia, one of the girls at the very beginning, who is so freaked out by what's going on in this academy. Sort of lays it all out. He doesn't believe much of any of it. He just thinks she is like seriously disturbed, right? And he's got his own baggage, though, man. He's haunted by the memory of a lost wife in just after World War II, as things are just being split apart. And I do believe he was a Holocaust survivor. And so he has an estate on the east side of things that he is allowed to visit and does visit. And the witches will, oh boy, they will just manipulate him. It is terrifying. This coven, we're in 77, so it is the German autumn, and there is, I'm not well equipped to get all into it, but there is some serious political radicalism and just almost revolutionary type fervor, and things are happening, and it is just a chaotic year in Germany, and the witches and the coven really reflect a lot of that. They are divided, half, a little more than half, of course, side with Marcus, who we find is the false mother, who is just barely hanging on to any semblance of a physical life, right? Who is looking for that new body to get into. And yet Susie Bannion is going to turn the whole thing on its head. They have a vote. It's somewhere in this film. There's a vote. And those who vote for Blanc, it's funny, those who vote for Blanc, who is Tilda Swinton's other character, she plays Madame Blanc, and Marcos, the false mother, who is deep down underneath the school, and Dr. Kempler, so she plays a guy too, and it's amazing. Her acting is absolutely out of this world. Aesthetically, color, sound. I had thought a little bit that what would have this been like if Luca would have been able to get a hold of a goblin and just say, okay, you created one of the greatest scores of horror film history. Now invert that score as though you're doing it for a black and white film. I wonder what that could have sounded like. If anything is slightly down for me, it's the score. Whereas for Argento's film, it is the high point, right? That is the just the pinnacle of all great things in horror, is Goblin's insane score for that movie. The practicals, the prosthetics that were made, Olga's death in the room of mirrors is insane. When Susie's going through her dance routine and everything she does sort of contorts and throws Olga just into the mirrors and just all contorts her body up. And this is all practical, no CGI. This is, I think, over like a 3-day shoot for hers and a 2-day shoot for Dakota Johnson, who plays Susie Bannion. I thought the one who stole the show for me though was um, Angela Winkler, I think, as Miss Tanner. Dude, I loved it. I mean, her facial expressions were absolutely nutty, and these witches were absolutely at times subtly, terrifyingly. Dude, you wouldn't want to mess with them. It sort of reminds me, there's moments in Argento's film where we see the shadows of what look like could be witches on broomsticks. The guy when the dog goes after Daniel, and so you get sort of those in the initial attack scene, and you get these moments of fantastical, supernatural, just craziness. This is a much more subdued, subtle, and yet it is still terrifying. I don't know what the difference was between the first and the second viewing. All I know is it is so unfortunate that this bombed financially the way it did. Because, I mean, I think Lucas even said that it's unfortunate because now it's starting to gain traction and steam. People are starting to realize just how great of a film this really was. And it's too late because we'll never see this vision continued. And I am not familiar with him as a filmmaker. I have heard a lot about him and films, but I know, he said as a child, he's always been a horror film fanatic. And he just took one of those weird pathways that as a horror film fan, it just wasn't what he was going to be doing as a director. Where Wes Craven should have been an art film director, suddenly found himself as a horror film director and quite successful at it, and so it's just, you just never can tell with directors and the pathways that they ultimately are steered into and are very successful at what they do. And I think his work, his stab at giving back in terms of an alternative vision, the other side of the coin of Argento's vision. If you're like me and just saw it once and just shrugged it off and just moved on, do like what I did, man. Just sort of gear yourself up. Just really, really try to just engage with this thing. Get into your movie room, wherever it is you go, lights off, pitch black, sound bar up, whatever, and just take your time. Now, it's funny because this is I love at the beginning we have 6 acts and an epilogue set in divided Berlin. One of the most terrifying things in this movie is what they do to Kumpler, the witches, and he is suddenly given this delusion that his wife has returned. Ankh, who is played by Jessica Harper from the original, Susie Banyan from the original, and he emotionally is just on a high. He has his wife back, and they're taking this long walk back, and in the snow, and that is the weather and just the aesthetics of the whole film. And he suddenly is standing there, and he realizes in a flash of a moment that he's standing in front of the dance academy, and he starts to become really super confused and terrified. And he turns to look and his wife is gone. And then a couple of the witches come running out of the academy and drag him in because he is going to be their witness. And it reminded me of Bruce Davison's run-in with the witches in Lords of Salem, which is, whatever you think about that movie, it has its moments, man. And this one has its moments. Ogo, man, before Ogo dies, and when she goes off on the witches, and it's just, wow. You just always have this sense that these witches are just almost capable of anything, anytime. It is quite nerve-wracking, but it's weird because it goes a long way in reflecting a lot of what's happening in Germany in terms of a divided nation, a divided city. You have a divided coven, one having been led by a false mother, the abuse of authority. There's just so many running themes in this movie. It's so layered, and yet moments of horror do come, and when they do come, again, it's like it hits you in a subtle way, but if you just sort of let it creep in, it is disturbing. I just look at my notes real quick, and I know this is probably already starting to get too long. One interesting thing, I didn't realize that, bringing up David Gordon Green, he actually had a chance to do this. First, it was once Luca got his rights to it, he actually asked their friends, I guess, asked David Gordon Green if he wanted it, and I guess the idea at the moment was Natalie Portman was in for the lead. And then for whatever reason, I can't remember, David Gordon Green said no, and moved on to whatever else he was doing. This had like a $20 million budget, and it's only made back, like, I don't know, it might be more than this now, but around $8 million or so. It is an Italian-U.S. production, I do believe. And it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't know. When Olga there's Miss Griffith, one of the witches, when she starts pouring out tears, and Olga starts pouring out her tears, and she's like being blinded and yet led into the room of mirrors where this is going to happen. Just Griffith's suicide. Marcus, man, she is disturbing, man, at the end, man, when she is just like a little kid who's about to get their presents right at Christmas morning, and she thinks, finally, new body, new life, renewed life, and to have the whole thing upended on her, all of them. It is, I don't know, man. I was first viewing, I don't know. Second viewing, just now, recently, I don't know. It's a tale of two completely different viewings. I'm impressed, man. And it's too bad we'll probably never get another horror piece from Luca again, just because of how this did. And that's really too bad. It is really too bad. So here in Italy's Holocaust, the years after, first one I really do believe I'm dealing with after 94, 18 film, an attempt to revive Argento's Three Mothers trilogy. Unfortunately, another vision amongst a few others that we'll just never see completed, and that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But if you're like me and for the longest time just didn't think much of it, I challenge you, take another look at it, man. Take another look at it, and I don't know. There's a lot there to be impressed by. So, anyways, got the Bills game moved on into the next day. All that snow and crazy stuff in Buffalo. So, tomorrow we'll watch it and see, and hopefully it'll do well and move on. So, as always, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful to